All right, everybody, welcome into the Beating the Bookie show. Today is Thursday, November the 9th. Hey, sports betting is live in Florida, so huge week down there for you. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, Hard Rock went live on Tuesday just with no advanced warning, kind of like what I said they'd probably do. They don't like to announce when they're going to go live for the mobile app, though. They did announce that the sports books and the casinos will open December 7th, along with craps and roulette. So that's a big change for Florida. We're finally catching up to the 30 something other states who have it. So looking forward to it. We've been on fire, so can't complain. Making a ton of money on the app already, so
Yeah,
it's been a
you
it's
placed
been
one
a
of the
great
first,
run.
probably one of the first winning wagers on the Hard Rock app. So first thing that morning, get a tweet notification like, "Oh my God, it's live!" And then next thing you know, you've got a $4,000 to pay. How much
Yeah,
parlay? Or $2,000 to pay? How much?
that's 2000 to pay 10 something, but
Yeah,
that's
something like
that's
it.
nothing compared to the Saturday college football.
Oh,
We hit our
buddy,
we
that's
hit
the
our
next topic.
we hit our max play game of the year, like Alabama LSU over third quarter. And we had that first half parlay 1,000 to win 50,000 plus
Insane.
4,800, and that hit. So cashed out 50,000 on Bet Online. Then Sunday NFL we hit a 1,000 to win 10,000 anytime touchdown score parlay. So I mean
So
Saturday
unbelievable weekend, and then I believe
and
it
the
was
week
yesterday hit
before,
a crazy soccer parlay. So I mean, it's talk
week
about a
before
crazy,
too, we've
yeah,
been crushing it. I think I've hit four $50,000 parlays this football season. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's just getting better, right? It's just
Mm-mm-mm.
getting bigger and bigger. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. We got some huge games.
Huge game. So this is, I sound like a broken record. I've said it every week. We've got another great weekend of college football. This weekend, we've got some insane ranked matchups. Let's go ahead and dive on into them. Number 13, Tennessee, 1 point favorites versus number 14, Missouri. Total set at 58.5. We just saw Missouri play Georgia pretty well up until that fourth quarter, where they had a little bit of a collapse and made it not as close as it was all game. Tennessee, they just dismantled UConn as expected. And they played Kentucky the week before that, and they had 5 field goals, I want to say. So red zone offense is almost non-existent for the Vols, except for their kicker. But this is as much of a toss-up game as we've had all season. I mean, Tennessee and Missouri, these two programs, very good teams, but not to that upper echelon of a level this year. But I think it's going to be a great game this Saturday. What do you think?
Yeah, and Tennessee. Look, if this game was at Tennessee, I'd like Tennessee. And Missouri, I'm not really sold on, but they did play Georgia tough. They did beat Kansas State at home. I mean, so they've had some good wins, right? And Tennessee, you got to remember, both times they've been on the road, they've lost, and they didn't cover either time, right? They went to Florida. Florida
Insane
essentially,
upset.
Florida beat them handily the entire game, right? Then they went to Bama, where they were beating Bama. Was it 20-7 at halftime? And
Yeah.
Bama just turned on the pedal the second half, 27-0 in the second half to just smoke them. So Tennessee struggled on the road this year, and Tennessee, they got the pretty good ratings. They're the 22nd rated scoring offense, 31st rated scoring defense, and Missouri 36th ranked offense, 54 ranked defense. So Tennessee has all the advantages with the numbers. Um, I just think the difference between this game, I think, is Missouri playing at home, and I just think Missouri, they're more consistent on offense. Like Tennessee is a higher scoring offense, but Missouri is more consistent, I feel like.
Yes.
And Missouri's been in some shootouts, right? Like against Georgia, against LSU, right? Those shootouts and stuff. They really should have beaten LSU.
Yeah, they kind of gave it
Um,
up at the end, man. It was poor play.
and I feel like whenever Missouri is a home dog, they cover. So I would definitely, lean Missouri in this one, but I would probably take the over because I don't see the Missouri defense really stopping Tennessee much. It's more about if Tennessee stopping themselves, right? But I think there'll be plenty of points to go around in this game. So I'd lean the over, and I'd lean Missouri, plus the 1 point because they seem to do, pretty well at home as a dog.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be right there with you, man. I'm liking Missouri in this spot just because they're at home, and Tennessee has been kind of lackluster on the road this year. And the total 58.5. I could see it getting on up there. Moving on, number 3, Michigan Wolverines, 4.5 point favorites versus number 10, Penn State. Total is set at 45.5. we're seeing, this is a Michigan team that's had all kinds of controversy in the last month. I mean, the most controversy possible in the last month. You got Blake Corum now owning a vacuum cleaner repair shop with Connor Stallions.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they lived in the same. They both had the same address on their their application for their company. So I don't know.
Something incredibly weird is going on.
And you had Blake. What's really weird is that wouldn't, him owning a vacuum service, whatever. That's with the kid. I mean, whatever. I can see that being possible, but why did he lie and say like he lied and said like I don't own anything with I don't do any business with him, when literally he posted on Instagram a post about the LLC, like big things coming. He posted the LLC. So why would you? So just
something's going on.
Why would you lie about it? That's the thing. Like, just say, yeah, I owned a company with him. Big deal. Like, there's life outside of football. But the fact that he lied about it makes me think maybe something is going on there. So I don't know. But I'm tired of hearing about Michigan and the cheating scandal. And, apparently the entire Big Ten has been cheating for a few years. And they have 3 national titles since 1971. So it really hasn't been helping. Both these teams, Michigan, they got the 5th ranked scoring offense, the 1st ranked scoring defense. Who have they played? They haven't played anybody. Their schedule's been total trash the entire year. What's their hardest game has been Iowa.
Yeah.
Which
is hilarious.
They haven't played anybody. And Penn State, they played one team. They played Ohio State. They lost. Drew Allaire, who every Penn State fan was swearing for the Heisman. The guy looked lost against Ohio State. Just terrible. He said he played terrible too. James Franklin choked in another spot.
Shocker.
Penn State does have the 6th ranked offense, 3rd ranked defense, but those numbers are meaningless because we're into November 9th. They haven't played anybody, right? Same with
they played
Michigan.
Ohio State. That's the only opponent that's worth.
And they say, Michigan fans tell me, oh yeah, Georgia hasn't played anybody either. Look at Georgia, like South Carolina would be like 7-2 in the Big Ten right now, right? Like SEC schools are so much better, I think, than the Big Ten. The Big Ten is just, total garbage this year. Ohio State's been carrying the conference for, 2 decades, right? So this game, with Drew Allaire's performance against
definitely has something to prove this game, but
Ohio State, like I didn't see. I think Michigan's better than Ohio State this year, right? Like they just look very good. Like Michigan looks really good. Whether that's because they're a good football team or they're a good football team and they know what your plays are, that's another thing. But I don't really care about that. I mean, if I'm betting it, right?
Right.
This game,
I want him to be cheating.
This game, I probably lean towards Michigan because I think Michigan has much more firepower. Michigan's better coached. Michigan's got a better quarterback. They've got better receivers. I just think Michigan's better all around. And, whoever put this game at noon on a Saturday should be executed because this is a 7 p.m. game, 8 p.m. primetime game, whiteout game, right? I'm not really digging the start time for this one, right? It is at noon, right?
Yeah.
It just
it's crazy.
I don't know. Get some eyes on these teams at least, right? They haven't played anybody this year, so get the public,
get that primetime audience on them. And I know you're going to hear people making the argument that noon is the new second prime time, but come on, it's not for college football, bro. The atmosphere is totally different from a noon game to a night game.
I would definitely, I would lean Michigan in this one. I think Michigan wins, but I would like Penn State to win just because.
God, talk
if
about
If Michigan loses this game, it's it's goodbye playoff, right? So,
yep.
I kind of want to see, if Michigan's not really going to get penalized for this,
just not looking like they're gonna.
If they're not going to get penalized for this, I'd like to see Penn State penalize them and beat them. But I don't really think, I just don't see Penn State with the firepower to beat Michigan this week. And I gladly eat my words, but
yeah, I don't like
Michigan.
I don't like the total here. I think it's, I think that there's not going to be much scoring here. I just really think that Penn State's not going to be able to move the ball.
I could see Penn State scoring 7 points.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Unless Drew Allaire shows
has something. A totally different game. Unless he's done a complete 180.
Unless Franklin, against Tennessee, he played so safe. Unless Franklin opens up the playbook, lets the guy throw deep and stuff, attacks those Michigan DBs,
Which they haven't been attacked yet this year.
maybe we'll see a higher scoring game, but Jameis Franklin will probably play it safe. He'll probably punt it on 4.5 yard. He'll
From the
probably
40.
punt from the Penn State 37, right? So I just think Michigan is the all around better team, and I'll probably play Michigan in this spot. Despite not liking them, I don't really care. Money.
Yeah, money trumps all. It's all that matters.
Yeah.
Moving on, number 18, Utah Utes going to Washington. Number 5, the Huskies. They're 9.5-point favorites. Total is set at 53.5. We've been seeing a little bit of a down Washington team for the last couple of weeks. Offense still looks pretty juiced. The defense is letting some teams back in the games. But Utah, I don't think they have a single chance to beat Washington this weekend. Washington looks primed. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the Utah offense has been improving the last few weeks. It's still a tough task for them to go against Michael Penix and the Washington offense.
If it's rising, I'm like, all right, this is a game.
Yeah, they're the fourth rated scoring defense in the country. And in Utah, they were like the number 1 scoring defense in the country basically up to like a few weeks ago. They gave up some points at home against I think it was Cal. And then last week they kind of gave up some garbage time points. But Utah's offense has been looking better, and Washington hasn't been covering any spreads, right? And I don't really, Washington has just like looked like they're in a funk lately.
They don't look like they did the first 4 weeks. That's for sure.
They don't, and that's why you're seeing Oregon actually favored over Washington to make the playoff ahead of them. But I do like the total in this game at 53.5. I think that's too low, and I think Utah, they have found something with the quarterback, and I think Utah can move the ball. And I think that Washington will undoubtedly move the ball. So I do like that over 53.5 here.
Yeah, I mean, Washington's 100% moving the ball. And I mean, Utah, they're just, the beginning of the season, they have the backup quarterback starting. Then they moved to the third string, I believe. And I think he's finally getting settled in and finally figuring things out.
Now they're back to the backup.
Back to the backup.
And that's who started this season. He was pretty, I mean, I thought he was decent. The third string kind of gave them more of like Nate Johnson. I think it was he kind of gave them more of like a running, runner at quarterback.
Definitely a dual threat guy.
The problem was he wasn't really running much, and he was an average passer. So at least this kid who's the backup, he's a pretty good passer. So I would definitely I would take the over in this spot. And if I had to pick a side, I would take Utah because I don't think, Washington hasn't been interested in covering many spreads lately. And Washington, they've just been playing some poor offense the last few weeks. And I think maybe at some point they're going to have to pay for it. But I do think, Washington wins, but I think Utah might cover. But I do like the over.
Yeah, I like the over as well. Moving on, number 9, Ole Miss Rebels going to Athens, going between the hedges. Number 2, Georgia. Georgia's 10.5-point favorites. Total is set at 58.5. What you think?
This is a tough one. I mean, I think Ole Miss can cover, but I've seen Ole Miss in big games sometimes, like against Bama and stuff, where they're playing great offensively right now, but like sometimes their offense can have that letdown of a game, like where they scored a touchdown against Alabama this year.
Well, the Alabama game, a huge letdown, almost no offensive performance, and it seems to happen in the big game. So that's the hurdle.
I like Jackson Dart though. I mean, he's a pretty he's a very good quarterback. He's experienced, right? And I think Ole Miss will put up a good fight in this game. I think they could cover, but that total is a little high. Georgia's been rolling offensively. I think Georgia, they're just getting better every week, pretty much. Their offensive
Brock
line.
Bowers back this week.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. To see if he actually plays
and how healthy is he? Is he a decoy? What's he going to be? How's he going to be used?
But they say the thing is Brock Bowers has been injured, but I watched whoever the backup is, this big white guy. The guy made like a one-handed catch like a couple of weeks ago. It was just amazing on the sidelines, and he's huge. He just stuck his one arm up and just made a sick catch, right, for like a tight end. So even if Bowers is out, I just
they're not losing that much. Now, obviously, he's an NFL first-round pick, but they've got more in the tank.
They do, and Georgia. I mean, they're obviously playing for everything in front of them, and Ole Miss has had a great year, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Ole Miss covered. That's for sure. But
I'd love to see him cover. I think this is really just going to come. This game as a whole is going to come down to defense. I mean, both offenses. I hope to see you're going to move the ball. Both
this will
offenses are going to
be
score.
Georgia's toughest home game so far. I mean, I think Ole Miss is much better than Missouri. And look, if Ole Miss is hot on offense, right? If they come out hot like they did last week against Texas A&M, without any turnovers,
Yeah, without any crazy penalties,
without any field goals getting blocked,
it's got to be a perfect storm for Ole Miss to win this game. It's got to be somewhat of a perfect storm for them to cover here, in my opinion.
I do think there's an avenue to upset for Ole Miss, but they have to play a perfect game. And we really haven't seen that against a really, really big opponent yet for Lane Kiffin. So,
and for Georgia, man, you don't see any perfect games against them.
You don't. So, I mean, they're just so well coached and stuff, and it's tough to see them upsetting Georgia. But I think there's definitely an avenue for it, right?
And if that does happen, hey, talk about a tornado hitting the playoff rankings.
Yeah, we're gonna, if Georgia loses and Michigan loses, I mean, we're looking at total
flip,
total craziness, right? Then you could have like 2 Pac-12 teams in, right? Just who knows? But yeah, it's definitely Ole Miss definitely has a road to an upset, but it's very hard to see. But I mean, I definitely think it's Georgia's biggest game this season. And I think Ole Miss, if they're functioning fully offensively, I think they can score 30 points on anybody. So it's all about can Ole Miss defense force turnovers, and can they have no letdowns, no stupid penalties, no stupid turnovers, and we'll just have to see. But it's tough.
Yeah. So one of the spots I'm looking at gambling wise in this game is a couple of Ole Miss receivers and their receiving yards over. So Dayton Wade and Trey Harris. Both these guys for the last like 3 or 4 weeks we've been seeing their numbers sitting around like 48 to 59 on the receiving yards. And they've both eclipsed it every game. That being said, Georgia's been giving up a lot of gashing plays and a lot of big yardages to wide receivers, and I really don't think they've played a quarterback or a scheme that feeds off big pass plays like Ole Miss does, with a quarterback that can execute it. So I know for a fact that I'm going to be looking at Dayton Wade, Trey Harris, receiving yards over. That's all I got to say about that game.
And he's Kiefer. If you can't tell, he's an Ole Miss fan. He's got.
I got to get a little bit more in depth in those games. So there's 2 spots. All right, moving on to the old NFL. We got the Texans and the Bengals.
We didn't put Hurricanes Florida State in there, which.
Do you want to talk about it?
No, not really. Anyways, so no, we're good.
Okay.
I guess it's not really a big game anymore. So
it's just Miami, man. So many spots where it's like, how different could the season be if 3 things go differently? It's just
the last 20 years as a Hurricane fan has been the same pretty much every year. Besides 1 year, they were 10-0. That's pretty much it. They were ranked second in, I think, 2017. They were second in the football playoff poll, right? And that's the last time we had any really success. So they'll probably just get destroyed by Florida State.
14.5 point spread there, I believe. Yeah, I mean,
I could see them losing by 40. I mean, so it's not really
because where's the headspace of the team?
I'm not gonna bet that game. So yeah, we can just move on to the NFL.
Moving on, man. Texans. Yeah, Texans at the Bengals. Bengals are 7-point favorites. Total is set at 48.5. The Bengals are juiced. They've been clicking on all cylinders for the past 3 weeks now. Burrow's back. That's what Jamar Chase has told us to say. Burrow is back. Man. CJ Stroud's on there, though. He's out there with the Texans, man, and he was slinging the rock last week. Most passing yards by a rookie. They're clicking. What do you think happens this week?
I like the Bengals. Look, the Bengals are probably the hottest team in the NFL right now. Joe Burrow seems like he's 100% healthy. He did bang up one of his, I think he broke like a finger. He broke one of his nails off his finger last week. He was like gushing blood. But he still threw some darts against the Bills, and they kind of won that Bills game handily, right? So The Bengals have been playing good defense and playing great offense, and Burrow looks like he's looked the last few postseasons pretty much. So I gave the Bengals out, I think 14-1, 15-1 last week to win the Super Bowl. I think they're just as good as anybody right now. And Joe Burrow, he owns Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I think he's 6-1 against both those guys combined.
Hilarious record too. Hilarious.
So he owns them. And I don't think, I like the Bengals because I think in the playoffs, it doesn't matter if they have home field advantage or what, right? We saw them go to Buffalo last year in a snowstorm and just beat them down from the start to finish. So I like the Bengals, and CJ Stroud, I mean, he's definitely shown promise, 500 yards last week. The guy's, he's been crushing it. I think he really has some underrated receivers, there. So,
what's his best target? Nico Collins?
Yeah, they don't really get, but he's got some young, really good guys, and I don't think their names are like not big names, so they don't get the credit they deserve. But Houston's definitely like they're sitting at 500. I mean, who would have thought that right now? And he's definitely
they're sitting at 500 and like they're playing for that division right now, in my opinion. Like the Jaguars are down, Colts are down.
The Jags look pretty good. I mean, they're 7-2, right? So yeah. The Jags have been getting better by the week also. But I think they could maybe Houston. I think Houston will fade out eventually, but Stroud's got much more to work with than like Bryce Young at Carolina. It's just
he's got nothing to work with. That line he's getting smoked every play.
They are, and I thought Houston would be pretty bad before the year started, but I didn't see Bryce Young playing. I mean, not Bryce Young, but I didn't see CJ Stroud playing this fall. But he's been playing great, but. This week's
they got a running back as a kicker too, so that's always fun.
1 week you're playing, Baker Mayfield. The next week you're playing Joe Burrow. So at Bengals, I'll definitely lean with the Bengals here because I think Stroud hasn't really thrown many picks on the year. What's he got? 1 pick on the year. I think maybe he can get 1-2 picks this game. So I like the Bengals in this spot. At least the Bengals team total or something of that nature, but I think the Bengals don't have any trouble.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, 49ers, 3-point favorites versus the Jaguars. They're at the Jaguars. Total is set at 45.5. Like you said, Jaguars are 7-2. They're playing good. 49ers, I mean, not playing very good at all. They're dealing with some injuries, dealing with some stuff, but not really enough to be affecting them as much as it has. What you think?
They are, and they're traveling cross country, right, to play the Jags. And look, the Jaguars, they started out the year pretty slow, like 1-2, I think, and they've been getting better every game, right? Their defense has been improving every game. Their offense has been improving every game. Trevor Lawrence has been improving by the game, and Trevor Lawrence, we're seeing Trevor Lawrence use his legs now, right? He's running the ball. I think against the Saints last week, he had like 60 yards rushing, took off.
We haven't seen out of him for last year.
Since college. I mean, really, I mean, since he played Ohio State in college, remember he had like 100 and something yards rushing in the semifinal, like a 75-yard touchdown rushing. So now I think we're seeing Trevor Lawrence, bring his legs into the game, and he's a lot faster than, you almost don't remember how fast he was in college, right? He's bringing those wheels back. They've been getting better every game, and there's no way I'm fading the Jags at home with all the 49ers, what they've lost 3 in a row now, right?
Yeah.
They've got a ton of injuries. Purdy is like taking chances now. He didn't take, he's
got a little bit more reckless with it.
He has, because he's got more injuries, right? So like they've got, an offensive line injury. They got, McCaffrey's banged up, right? Deebo Samuel, he's banged up. So it's like he's trying to he's like, these guys are banged up. So he's trying to make too many plays by himself, and it's costing him. He's throwing a lot of interceptions. I mean, his interceptions lost the game against Minnesota. And we're seeing their secondary get cooked, right? Like Jordan Addison cooked their secondary, right? And the week before, they got cooked also by
Burrow.
By Joe Burrow. And then the week before, the Browns with freaking
Deshaun Watson's back up. I don't even know who it is.
CJ Walker.
Yes.
Right? So the 49ers defense has been struggling, especially their secondary. And I think, cross-country trip playing a hot Jaguars team, obviously I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners won. But
Yeah.
I do think the Jags cover, and I think the Jags they should win this game. I don't see. I think it's disrespectful to the Jags that they're this big of a dog at home,
Yeah.
right?
3-point
Especially
dogs,
with
Tom.
they've won like 6 in a row. I mean, so I definitely like the Jags in this spot.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like the Jags as well. Moving on, the Browns heading up to Baltimore for face the Ravens. Ravens are 6-point favorites. Total sit at 37.5. This game could be very interesting. Probably one of the better games this week. You know, two of the better teams right now currently in the NFL. So I mean, the Browns offensively they've been scoring, but they haven't looked that great. Ravens, I'd argue the same. I mean, it's been the Lamar Jackson show. What you think about this one?
The Ravens have been slowly but surely playing like the best football in the league this year, right? Their run game has been dominant,
Even with losing backs.
yeah, and Gus Edwards is just playing.
Us, baby.
If you look at Gus Edwards, former Miami Hurricane, right? If you look at Gus Edwards, his stats for yards per carry, he's up there like the top 4 all time. It's like if you look at the top 4 for yards per carry stats for like minimum carries, it's like Jim Brown, it's OJ Simpson, Jim Brown, Gus Edwards, and then like maybe Adrian Peterson or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that at all.
And they've been featuring him. He's getting 2 touchdowns every week now. Like, he had him to score a touchdown last week at plus money. I mean, this easy money, scored right away. Lamar Jackson is playing great, and Lamar Jackson hasn't even really had to throw much. And the receivers have been getting healthier and healthier and healthier. So I think the Ravens, all their metrics are totally off the charts. The defense is playing great. I think the Ravens pretty much beat down the Browns this week because the Browns. Deshaun Watson hasn't looked good,
No.
And he had a touchdown pass last week that was batted up in the air. And got Amari Cooper, still caught it. I mean, but Deshaun Watson the Browns have been winning games ugly, right? They did win big last week against Arizona, but Arizona is terrible. They're openly tanking this year, so
yeah,
I think the Ravens are getting better by the week.
And the Ravens slaughtered the Seahawks last year. Little bird matchup.
The Ravens are getting better by the week, just like the Jags and the Bengals. So I like the Ravens in this one. I think they could win, this game by 2 touchdowns. So I'll be going with the Ravens here.
Yeah, I think they're gonna put on a shot out there.
Gus Edwards to score a touchdown. That's for sure.
Heard it here first. Gus Edwards to score a touchdown. Been getting a little disrespected on the line of that. Gus Edwards has been, man. Plus money last week.
Yeah, 2+ touch. Even take 2+ touchdowns, right? I looked at his 2+ touchdowns last week. I think it was plus 550, and I'm thinking he just scored 3 the week before, and I'm like, they're definitely going to feed him on the goal line. And then
they did.
I took the only one touchdown. Of course, he scores 2 like right away. So
it's okay though. We got the one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's all I got for NFL. Any other games you want to touch on?
No, I mean that's pretty much it for NFL. And
hey, we got Thursday night football tonight. A sleeper matchup.
Took that game off the run sheet today because zero interest, right? And Sunday night, it's about as bad as Sunday night football's Jets versus Raiders. But that's football. We got NHL has been just unbelievable right now. We're 77-53 on the season, I think. So we've just been crushing it. Every night's a winner. NHL has been great, getting puck line plus 160 winners, stuff like that. So
little Rangers yesterday, right?
Couple nights ago, the Rangers minus 1.5. Couple nights ago, we had the Canucks minus 1.5 plus 240. Hit easily, 6-2 winner last night. Panthers money line overtime winner. So it's been fun, and all sports are clicking right now. College basketball is back, 9-4 to start the year. 2-unit winner last night with FAU minus 6.5.
Little Barstool Invitational.
That was some free money last night on FAU. It's just total disrespectful line for a team who could have been playing the national championship, to be honest. So, I like every sport right now.
It's the best time of the year, man. Best time of the year. We got all the fun sports kicking. And safe to say the clients over at BeatinTheBookie.com are having a great time with it as well.
They are. So a lot of people were asking me about the show, like, hey, where's no show this week? And now you guys have got it. So, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button on this show, and we'll be back next week with some more.
Yeah. So hope everybody has a great weekend watching some college football and enjoy that absolute snooze fest of a Thursday night football game tonight. We'll catch you guys next week.